who are Doug Ponsford and his partner Mesud Sali. They specialise in instalment contracts, and they're about to come and show us how to make loads of money out of instalment contracts. Can you give a hand for it?
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Chris.
Good evening, Huddersfield.
Good evening.
How are you all? Pleased to see you. So in the next 40 to 50 minutes we are going to show you how you could be making £50,000 plus from every deal using instalment contracts. And we're going to show you how you can be doing that without the need of taking out a mortgage, without the need of any deposit, without running a credit check, without finding any tenants. That's a new one. You don't need to find a tenant in this particular case. And you don't have to pay for any voids or repairs or any maintenance. And in fact you can do all of that without any experience. So very interesting. Let's have a look at, oh no, let's talk about me for a minute. There we go. So I'm Doug Ponsford, and I got started in property back in 1975, quite a long time ago, when you was only
I wasn't
not
even
very
planned.
So anyway, back in the late 80s I set up a IFA practice. I became an IFA, but more importantly I became a specialist mortgage broker. And during my years as a specialist mortgage broker I learned some very creative financing strategies. And I learned how to buy property without using any money, any of my own money anyway, mainly using the bank's money. So I remember my first buy-to-let purchase using a no money down strategy was a property deal. Value was £60,000. I'd offered £40,000, which was accepted. I went down the bank and raised £57,000, gave £40,000 across and banked £17,000. 3 bedroomed, semi-detached house, so now I've got some rental income. So that was the basis of how I was to model my ongoing property building career. So over the years, over the last 25 years, I've built a multi-million pound property portfolio which I now manage myself with a member of staff, and that generates a net income each year of well into 6 figures. So if you remember 2007 we had a bit of a banking crisis, and it became a little more difficult for us to get hold of money from the banks. That of course made a bit of a difference to my business because it stopped me from growing. So luckily around about that time Mesud came along, and we started using instalment contracts as a new strategy. And instalment contracts have enabled me to massively build my portfolio even further, and is now generating profits of between £40,000 and £50,000 per deal. And we've done over 40 deals in the last nearly 3 years. So I'm going to introduce you to Mesud, who's going to tell you a little bit about himself. Sorry, this is very lively buttons, aren't they? Over to you, Mesud.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Mesud Sali. Before I start, I would like you to get you out of your comfort zone. Can you please all stand up? And I would like you to raise your right hand. That's what I did when I was in 2007. And I said to myself, I am going to make money from property. Can you repeat that? I am going to make money from property. Once more. I am going to make money from property. Once more. I am going to make money from property. Once more, twice loud. I am going to make money from property. Today we're going to teach you how to do that. Thank you for that. I came into the UK 2005, 29th of August. I'll never forget that day. Because when I arrived I had £825 in my wallet. Next day I had to pay to this university £800 for accommodation and some fees. I had £25 left on that day. So that day I promised to myself, my parents have worked very hard to send me to this country, so I'm going to make it work. I'm going to finish my education, I'm going to make lots of money. So same day I found a job and I started working in the evening when I was going to uni during the day. And I started working in a restaurant. Soon I realized that the restaurant had a staff house where all the members of the staff were staying, but only one person was staying in the house. So I asked the boss, Mr. Boss, okay, can I stay in this house and can I manage it? He said, go for it. No one, you will take a lot of hassle from my shoulders. I'm paying the mortgage on this property, but no one lives in there. So I started subletting the rooms in that little house. So he had 4 bedrooms upstairs, he had 2 lounge rooms downstairs, and a massive glass house at the back. So what I did is, I started subletting the rooms. I had 5 lettable rooms now. Soon I realized I was making more money from renting those rooms than I was making working part-time in the restaurant. I said, property is great, I have to do more of this. So I started learning about property. I started attending networking meetings like this, I started attending different seminars, and I soon learned about installment contracts and power of them, how you can maximize your profits. Since then, I've joined forces with Doug, and we have done over 40 deals, and my life has changed around. My lifestyle has changed. I paid off all my student debts, and now we live a wonderful life. And we'd like to show you how you can also make 50 plus on every deal.
Thank you, Mesud. So, an overview of the evening. We're going to show you what is an instalment contract, and then we're going to look at how we're making massive profits from every deal, and then we're going to show you some real life examples. And then we're going to show you how we're buying and controlling property using a single document, one single document. And then we're going to bring our offer to you. We are running a 2-day workshop in November, and it would be rude of us to come all the way up here from Kent, which has taken us about 5 hours drive, to share this information with you and not offer you something so that you can find out some more information. So there's a number of different ways you can find out more information about what we're going to show you this evening. So if you can bear with us at the end of this presentation for about 5 minutes, we're going to bring our offer to you. For those of you who are not interested, just close your ears. For those of you who are, please listen in. So,
what is an installment contract, Doug?
Well, Mesud, a lot of people think it's an option, but it is not an option.
What is it then?
Well, an instalment contract is what we call, it's like a standard conveyance. Now, with an option, you're moving in a tenant into the property. With an instalment contract, we're looking for a buyer. We're moving a buyer into the property. But most importantly, we're looking for a buyer who is unable to get a mortgage because they either don't qualify or they haven't got a big enough deposit. So what do you think is the portion of the population today, what part of the population today do you think can get a mortgage, and what part of the population think can't get a mortgage? Would you say the larger part of the population today can't get mortgage?
Yes.
Because they haven't got a big enough deposit or they don't qualify. If you're coming in from Eastern Europe, you have to wait 5 years before you can apply for a mortgage. And as we know, there's a lot of people coming in from Eastern Europe that have good jobs, have good incomes, and are saving good money. Would love to get on the property ladder, but they can't because the banks won't allow them to.
So what you're saying is estate agents are trying to sell all those beautiful properties to a very small proportion of the country.
Maybe 5% of the population.
Wow. So the rest is untapped.
So it presents more opportunities because there's a bigger marketplace. We are looking for all of those people that are forced to rent because they're not able to buy because the banks won't help them, the systems don't help them. It's the most profitable strategy by far because it enables us to sell the property to these prospective buyers, and we ask a premium price for those properties. In fact, we can ask up to 25% more than the current market value, and we have achieved that on a regular basis.
We'll show you a few examples.
Up to 25% more than the current market value. If you put your property on the market with an estate agent, you're unlikely to get anywhere near the market value. Somebody's going to make you an offer some way below. It's also a unique money-making opportunity because it generates income from day one. So when you move your buyer into the property, they exchange contracts. And when they exchange contracts, they pay a small deposit, an affordable deposit. So that deposit becomes your day one profit. It then provides massive monthly cash flows. The monthly cash flow generated from an instalment contract is far, far greater than any other strategy available in today's market, including HMOs. And the reason for that is because it removes the expenses and the headaches that a tenant brings to you. When you build a HMO, when you have a multi-let property, you have a single-let property, what comes with that is the responsibility of looking after the tenant and the property. And believe me, after doing that for over 25 years, it's an expense. It's an expense and it's a responsibility. Moving a buyer into the property negates all of that. There are no expenses at all. So, let's go on. Let's show you how we're making massive profits from every deal. And the first example is a babysit. It's called a babysit, it's because we've not purchased this property. The owner of this property, a guy called Glenn, down in Station Road, owns this, or did own this, one-bedroom flat on the ground floor. He'd been trying to sell this property for nearly 12 months, was unable to achieve the market value. In fact, what he needed was more than market value in order to clear his mortgage, because he was almost in negative equity. So he wasn't able to take an offer. All he wanted to do was to sell the property, move in with his future wife into her parents' house, save some money for a deposit to buy a house together and have a family. He couldn't do that. He was stuck with this house and the mortgage payments and the ground rent and the service charge, and he was unable to move on with his life. So we agreed with him that we would babysit his property and babysit his mortgage payments. We didn't take over his mortgage, we simply babysat the payments. So once we've agreed with him under a single document to babysit the mortgage payments, babysit the property, we haven't paid him any money at all, we've simply allowed him to move on and get on with his life. We then put it on the market within about hour and a half. Mesud, what's that saying there? Tell us what that says.
Why my one-bedroom flat? No mortgage needed. £5,000 lose it in, 597 per calendar month, and the flat is yours. Call Vicky.
So just imagine £5,000 moves you into a property, you exchange contracts, and you pay £597 a month, which is no more than the rent. And you own in the property. You are the owner. You can do what you like with it. You can sell it.
Do you think we got some attention?
So we did find a buyer for this property very, very quickly. So we decided to sell it on an instalment contract.
Well, we wanted to start with this deal because that is our least ever profitable deal. So we have made the least amount of money on this deal. Okay, so that's the worst you're going to get. So this property, Glenn had a mortgage of £82,500. Please write down £82,500 mortgage. Well, the property has been on the market for the last nearly 18 months and it hasn't sold and it didn't have any viewings. And our estate agent friend approached us and said, would you look at this? I know about your creative strategy, you've been telling me about it, so I've got now a decent deal to suit your requirements and the seller is motivated. Could you look at this? We looked at the mortgage papers, 82.5. Well, we did a little bit of research and we thought that the property is worth £75,000 maximum. So it was clearly a little bit of a negative equity. So we put for sale on an instalment contract. Total purchase price 89995, £5,000 moves you in, 597 a month, okay? Right, so we sold it quite a little bit above market value. We asked for £5,000 up front, but Tina came in with £19,000 up front.
Where did you emphasise it?
Well, the yellow signs. So the whole town, Kent Messenger, Kent Radio, everyone knew about our property. So we even received an invitation from the council. So we got £19,000 up front, but we took less cash though. Right, but we put a little clause in our contract. If, Tina, you repay the balance earlier than 7 years, we'll charge you a redemption penalty, same as a bank. A bank, if you paid your mortgage early, they will charge you a little redemption penalty, 5%, 3%, 2%. Well, we agreed the same. She came after 8 months and said, well, can I repay? I just got some divorce proceedings from my husband, so I'd like to pay off the remaining balance. I said, Tina, are you aware that we put a clause for £6,000? She said, yeah, no problem, I will pay that as well. So we ended up getting even £6,000 more. So from this deal,
How much we made on this?
We invested nothing and we made £19,400 net in 8 months. How
So-
many of you would like this?
How many tenants did we move in?
None.
How much did we spend on refurbishing the property?
Well, I spent about £40 on the signs.
Do we have any voids?
No.
Any repairs? Who
Nope.
pays for maintenance and service charge?
No.
Who pays the service charge and ground rent?
Tina pays all that.
Douglas.
I've just forgotten, where did you find that property from?
Estate agent friend.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, estate agent friend, yeah.
Okay.
Just spoke to an estate agent, told him what we do, sent us some leads, we paid him. We paid him £1,000 for that deal. So this is another babysit in Renown Road. This is a chap called Bob owns this property. Bob's a taxi driver and he's hurt his foot so he can't work, and he's now £1,800 in arrears with GE money, and he's going to be repossessed. We're speaking to him on Wednesday. Next Thursday the bailiffs are coming in to repossess him for 1,800 quid. So he'd already started packing his boxes and he's moving in with his sister. So by the time we got to him, again another recommendation, he was pretty upset about the fact that he's leaving his home, but he'd got used to the idea. So we said, Bob, how would it make you feel if we could babysit your property for you, and more importantly, we'll pay off your arrears for you and stop the repossession, and we'll allow you some additional time to stay in your property to pack your boxes so you can move on at your own steam. Now you have a few more weeks to move on. And what we'll do is we'll babysit your mortgage payments and we'll pay off GE money. We'll pay the debt for you. Well, he couldn't believe his luck. He said, well, you mean I can just walk away from this and you'll just sort out my mess? Exactly that. So that's exactly what we did. Around a legal document, one single legal document, we babysit the property and we babysit the mortgage payments. We now have complete control over the property, and so we decide to sell on the instalment contract. If that's going to load. Just funny old buttons. There we go. So Mesud, give us some numbers.
Well, we sold the property again quite a bit above the market value. Okay, Bob was moving out of the property, but he had a little bit of equity, so we bought it slightly discounted. So it's a discounted babysit, we call it. So we bought it slightly discounted. We marketed this property straight on Rightmove. We didn't use signs this time. We thought we're not going to leave the office this time. We're just going to upload it online and let's see how it works. Ladies and gentlemen, we managed to find out this amazing way of marketing with Rightmove, because we sell our properties under the deposit amount, so we market it under the deposit amount. We don't market it like an estate agent for the full market value, but we market it under the deposit amount. So for this property, we put it, the purchase price was £7,000. Okay. When you go on Rightmove and click your area, do you start searching properties from highest price first or lowest price first?
Lowest.
Okay. If you start searching from lowest price first, do you think this property will always come up first?
Yes. Yeah.
Well, if your property always come up first in your area, do you think you're going to get more clicks?
Of course you are.
It's like being at the top of Google.
Yeah, exactly. Well, Rightmove is the most popular property portal in the UK. Even if you use the other property portals and market it the same way, you'll always be on top. So, actually, we run a comparison on another property, and where we put the property under the full market value, like an estate agent, and put the same description, installment contract, no mortgage needed. Over a week, we got about 250 clicks on that property, okay? Then we put it under the deposit account, and we counted the clicks for a week. So when we did a report, it had 120,000 clicks. Do you think that is massively more? Do you
It's a bigger marketplace, isn't it?
Do you think we're going to get more calls? Well, that's why we got a call immediately. We put it in the morning, we uploaded it in the morning, in the afternoon we already had a call, and already we booked a meeting with the potential buyers of this property in our offices. So they arrived with their children and they said, well, we're very interested in this property. We've never had the opportunity to buy a house. We've been in the country for the last 5 years. We're both working, social care workers, employed for self-employed full-time, and they had decent amount of savings, and they love the fact that they can move from their cramped 2-bedroom flat in East London, all the way from East London we moved them into Medway Towns, which is about 40 miles outside London.